What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And in today's video, I want to talk to you all about some stuff that is personal to me, right? It's things that always playing in my mind, and the things that I feel like that keep me up at night type of thoughts. And I want to start off by saying RIP to Terrence Clarke, young man, NBA prospect, played over at Kentucky, bright future, everything going for him, and just a couple days ago was prematurely kind of taken away from us due to a car accident. And that really made me want to make this video for two reasons. Just the other day, there was the George Floyd verdict that came out, and I felt like an important moment in the world. In that same time, there was another video, another whole thing going on with a young girl who had her life taken away from her. I believe is in Ohio. And something else happened somewhere. It's just a lot going on. The guy, so it really triggered me in the sense that, if you know me, one of the things that I find to be the most fascinating, or one of the things that I heard my guy Neil deGrasse Tyson say that keeps me up at night is time, right? It's time. The ideal of us as people, as we walk through this earth, right? We have a beginning date, and we have an expiration date, and then there's this time in the middle, and which we don't know like how long that will be. We don't know what it'll consist of. Only thing we know is we know when we're coming into this world, and we know that we will eventually come out of this world. And so as I look at these situations that have happened in the past like couple of days, it really brings that back to the front of my brain of time. Like, you just never know. There are so many moments through your life that you have and that you experience that may in the moment feel insignificant, but actuality, like, they could be one of the most important moments of your life, and or it could be the last moment of your life. And so for me, I try to intentionally live in a way that I am appreciating the moments, right? And I'm appreciating what's happening now, because I don't know if I'm gonna look back on what's happening right now in 10 years and be like, man, that was one of the greatest times ever. Or I'm gonna look back on what's happening in this moment and be like, bro, that was tragic. I totally screwed that up. And so because of that, man, I'm super focused on that. I'm not super, but it stays with me. And to the point of, like, I think about my own life, and I think about like what I do now. We do this stuff with video, right? And I remember many moons ago, me and one of my close friends, we were out walking through his neighborhood, taking photos of his like house, neighbors' houses, cars, all of this stuff. It was like a project he had. It was a Spanish class, and it was one of those things where you take a picture and then you translate what that picture was in Spanish, like you put that on the caption. So we were taking these pictures and for his project, and this lady follows us, and she like calls the police, right? And she's following us. She's like, yo, y'all out here taking. Now, mind you, we are, I think, 7th grade at this point. So what is that? 12, 13 years old, 14 maybe. And so teenage boys, really young. And so she was approaching the situation as if we were like canvassing the neighborhood to run some type of heist or whatever. So it was kind of ridiculous. Police stop, so we get into it with her. We end up leaving and going to my homeboy's house. We drive, we were going to church that night. So as we are leaving his house in his dad's car, we see the police standing on the corner with this lady. So we start to duck down in the back seat of the car, and they see us, because we stupid kids and trying to hide from. So they stop the car. Hey. It was y'all two, the two kids who she seen walking around here taking pictures. And we like, yes, that was us. And she's like, well, and we like, but we doing pictures for a project. And they approached us with the idea like, oh, well, you wasn't doing nothing wrong. Why was y'all hiding in the back seat of the car? And we were like, bro, we're 14 years old. You called the police on us. We scared. Like, we didn't even want my homeboy's dad to know that had happened, type of situation. So the officer threatened to take the camera and put it in investigation. You gonna fail your There was a lot going on. So basically, they ended up just letting us leave or whatnot. But I say that and I tell that story because it is it's just a moment. It's a moment that, like, in that moment, I was kind of like, damn, this is crazy. But as I look back on that moment, it has much more meaning today to me than it did, like, even in that time. And this is what I'm saying is when I, like, reflect on the small things, right? That stuff hit me because one of the reasons why I was even there and I thought it was cool is because I like taking pictures. I like doing video. So when my homeboy had that project, I was like the perfect person to call because, yeah, I'll do it with you. And it's so crazy because years later, 20 plus whatever years later, I still like to take pictures. I still like to do video. And I feel like there is still a bit of hesitancy with me in going to certain places because I don't know what's gonna happen. I understand now that if I'm walking around your neighborhood with my camera, it could look crazy to you. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, that's just an example of what I'm saying when it comes to moments and how those things end up playing themselves back. Now, I think about moments where I remember I went to school in Kansas, and we were driving. One of my homeboys lived in South Florida, I lived in North Florida. So we would drive from Independence, Kansas. He would drop me off in Tallahassee, and then he would keep going down to like Fort Myers, wherever he was from. And one night, we're driving, it's super late. I'm driving his car, and I'm trying to like merge onto the highway. And I'm like a new driver at this point. So I can't tell if the truck behind me is in the lane that I want to merge into, or if he is in the lane over here, right? And there's so much traffic that it's like, as I'm coming on the ramp, I have to like stop type of situation. And because I have to like stop to get over, I'm like, know that once I get over, I gotta hit the gas and go. So my homeboy, who is over here, it's his car, he's sleeping. He like wakes up because he notices the car stop. And then as I'm about to go, he says, boy, don't you get out in front of that truck. And as soon as I pull it back, the truck comes whizzing in the lane that we were just in. He could have woke up a moment later and we would have both been smashed and crashed and dead. Just like that. In the instant of a moment, even if we were not dead, it would have been something that would have changed our lives for forever. No telling what type of ailments, no telling what type of injuries we would have had from that. But like, it's the middle of the night, it's dark, I'm trying to figure it out, I'm about to pull over there, right? So I think about that, right? I think about that moment of being something that happened to me that almost happened. Almost messed me up, you know what I'm saying, for forever. Didn't happen though. I think about these things where there are people who come into your life, right? Where you never met this person, you never even thought of them before. And then all of a sudden you meet them and then they become somebody who like is in your life for forever, right? So you think about that as like, in one moment, right? My girlfriend currently, it's so funny because I think about this where we were in the same room together, and like, so I had seen her before, but I hadn't actually talked to her. So in my head, I see her from two different lenses. I see her as this stranger who was in the room with me, but then I also see her as my girlfriend who I know and love today, right? So like, I can remember like seeing you walk or seeing her walk and then like not knowing who she was, but being like, damn, who is that? You know, because we were like at a conference for like 2 days. And so for 2 days, I hadn't even talked to her. It was the final day where we had actually talked. So I just say that to say like, it's the same thing. It's the moment, right? It's the moment before something happens that changed your life that you like, when you walk around not knowing this thing. And I really relate that to George Floyd, where there's a minute in which 99% of the 99.99999% of the globe had no idea who George Floyd was living up in Minneapolis. Something happens. Somebody pushes upload to a video on the internet, and from that moment on, affects 50% of the global population of having some understanding of what happened from media and all of this stuff. So it's just like these moments, man, that really stick with me, right? And when I think about this Terrence Clarke situation, I realize that for his family, they were probably all super excited about the life-changing event that was about to come, right? My boy, my brother, my friend, my son, girlfriend, boyfriend, all of that stuff, all of this is about to get the bag. Is about to be successful. Is about to become, think about the De'Aaron Foxes, the LaMelos, the Kuzmas, all of these folks who have like attained some success in the league and how that has changed. Like, and you go that close, and like that's taken away from you. So not only are you mourning the loss of somebody, but you're also mourning the opportunity that will never happen, right? The ideal of like our whole life is about to change. I think about that also in the context of when I played sports growing up, and I try to remember the moment in which I realized like, actually, bro, you're probably not gonna make it, bro. And it's like, it's so funny to think about it because I played like high level football, played Division I football. I was highly ranked. I went to JUCO. I was highly ranked coming out of JUCO. And like, even while I was in college, that was speculation of me coming out early, the whole thing. Like, when our seniors when our upcoming, I was as a sophomore, when our juniors had their like junior day, and got to talk to scouts, they were like, yo, could y'all bring Allen? They was like, yo, he not a junior yet, but yeah, because that's where I was at with it. So my confidence and all of that stuff was set of like, yo, bro, this is life changing for you. You're about to make it. Like, you are doing the things that has to happen. And then so there's a moment that real, and I wish I could find or like remember that moment in which like, and I probably do actually, but even that, I don't know if that was the correct moment of like when I decided or thought like, oh shoot, it's over. And I would say like, truthfully, it probably happened. So let's say I'm in college playing ball at over at Iowa State, and like I said, this is probably a personal rant or something, but it's just more so like I appreciate being able to talk with you all, and like, I don't know. I think, and I will get back into this story, but I feel like there are these moments on this channel where I understand why I make the content that I do, right? And it is like, I want to add perspective. I want to add like a different way of thinking, a different way of viewing some of this typical sports things, right? I want to add this like ideal of life and the blend of it into sports. And I think that there are some times where it's easy for content's sake to just really bring it down to like box score, like this happened today. And I get away from like why I do it, right? And then so every now and again somebody will be like, yo, AB, like, yo, you gotta, what was that, bro? You gotta give us some of that thought. And so then that like snapped me back to being like, yo, you right, like I'm tripping. I'm just kind of making videos to make videos. And so this is like the extreme of that, right? So I feel like sometimes things have to pull you both ways. So there are videos where it's like, I'm just posting this here so you can have information, and then there's this video where I'm just really going deep and in depth and hopefully to center into a good balance of those things. But I feel like for me, sometimes they both have to happen in order to like get the most efficient level and like the equilibrium and the balance that is needed. So I tell this story and then I'll wrap this up here with one more statement, because I want to talk about this LeBron James thing. And I am in college playing ball, having a rock. Like I said, I went from like preseason all Big 12 to like not starting an entire game. You know what I'm saying? Not starting a game the whole season. So I went from almost one of the top newcomers in the Big 12 to like not starting the next season at all, right? And not starting a game in a season in which I was like preseason potentially all Big 12 cornerback type of vibe. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's the slide in which. So going into my third season there was an incident where some dudes on my team had got like arrested for having drugs or weed in the dorm rooms, okay? And so as they do that, right, and this is also why I always get so like caught up with this whole when people, the next man up mentality of sports, right? Because then you start to like, oh, you telling me if you get injured, then I'll play. Oh, if you get arrested, then I'll play. So you find yourself in this space where like, you like, dang, I can't. Next man up, you know what I mean? And so bad things happen to people, and then you find yourself conflicted because it means something good is about to happen for you. And so that's a whole thing. So these dudes got to end up getting arrested. Some folks who play the same position as me, so it's about to shift this lineup or whatever, and the opportunity that I felt like I was probably devoid of was about to come. So that happened. In the same time as this is going on, our team would always do this thing where like, you know, they have class checkers. So if you miss a class, then and the class checkers catch you, then you have to do like what they like a punishment run type thing on like Monday morning. Okay, so I had missed the class checkers caught me. I am going to do my punishment run on Monday morning. At the same time in which I'm getting ready to do my punishment run, it comes out that some guys on our team just got arrested and they are gone from the team indefinitely and for having drugs. This matters also because you go way back, and I remember my coach, first thing he said to us was, if you get caught smoking dope, you will no longer be on this team. So then these guys get caught smoking dope, they get arrested, it's all in the news, suspended indefinitely. However, then they all end up still at practice. Then the day for the punishment run comes and I'm in there by myself. And I'm not tripping. You caught me. I missed class. I got to do the work. I'll do it. Whatever. I show up and I get there and I'm by myself. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, like, where is I know for a fact it should be at least 3 other people here because folks just got arrested. Like, I can't be the only person here. And then it really started to like weigh on me the fact that like, yo, y'all got me in here this first thing in this morning. I'm already hoping for an opportunity that seems like it's not coming, and then now I'm in here. So the same thing. I remember this moment in which they had me doing these what they call them like ladders, where every 5 yards you do an up down. So you go 200 yards, 5 yards up down, 5 yards up down, all the way down, and then you come all the way back. It is tiring. Then you get the sled and you got to push the sled 100 yards down, 100 yards back, and then you're done. So I was doing it. I was already frustrated that I was the only person there, so I was taking my time. Because I was not going fast enough, they decided that actually now I need to get another 200 yards. And in that moment, I told myself, oh no, I'm going home. So I looked at the coach, I said, yo, all right, I'll do this, let me get some water. I walk into the water fountain and I'm thinking to myself, bro, if you walk out of here, it's probably over. You feel me? So I hit the door, get in my car, I drive to the house. 10 minutes later, phone blowing up. Bling, 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 bling. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I say, I'm at the crib. And then he's like, yo, if you don't get back here right now, like it's over, you're done. And I said, you know what, man? When I walked out, I assumed that you would say that. And I kept going. So I was like, if I gotta be done, I gotta be done. And then that was it. And like, that was probably the moment in which my aspirations to continue to play sports or play professional ball kind of went out of the window. even though like I could have like maybe did a pro day somewhere else. It's a lot of stuff you can do to kind of keep going, especially like if you're talented, right? Because I was like fast, so I'd do a pro day. I'm gonna run a 4.3, I'm a bench 225 at least 10 to 12 times. You know, I would have tested well enough to probably get an opportunity, but like I just didn't even think about it anymore since that point. So that's like that moment in which I was like walking out and I realized you're probably done at this point. It's probably like the actual moment in which playing was over, but it was also probably like not the moment in which I like rationalized that and thought about it, because I still felt like I had some opportunity moving forward. Now, I'm gonna close this out here because this is going into a long rant video, but I just was recently on the interwebs, and let me go here. So I was recently on the interwebs, and now shout out to Terrence Clarke here, and that's his information here. Dang, bro, that's a sad story. But there's this thing that was going on with LeBron James, and this is also what made me think about this story, because, or made me go down this kind of rabbit hole, is because LeBron James began to tweet out about the young girl who 15 or 16 years old got shot down in Ohio. And it was an incident in which I don't know the details of the incident, but for the sake of like setting the ground of like where my thoughts come from on this whole thing, I would say, like, to my understanding, there was an altercation. I believe that this girl called the police is what I heard at first. They came because she was in a fight with some other girls. They came, and as the officer arrived, he came in this commotion is still going on. This young girl, still in the heat of the moment, tackles one girl, throws off, has a knife in her hand, and as she's about to, officer opens up 4 shots, bam, 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 killing her in the spot. In that video, and I didn't want to watch the video, but like somebody was hitting me on Twitter about it, and then so I like, all right, let me watch, because I typically try to avoid all of that, right? But I feel like it was so crazy because folks kept trying to say like, oh, but it was 10 seconds. It was like in the moment he had to make this decision. He had to do it. And it's the same thing, right? It's that whole ideal of like, in this split second, in this moment right now, I gotta make a decision that's gonna impact my life. It's gonna impact this girl's life. It's gonna impact the lives of everybody who's standing around here watching this thing happen. And it's like, there begins after that's over, I hear people start to justify and twist on like whether which decision was right, and so it's so crazy to me because I understand it, right? I understand the ideal of like, if you're coming in there to probably serve and protect, and you see something happening, how instantaneously it may make you want to like fire, right? I understand the stress of that, right? But I also understand the stress of that comes with carrying a gun in that situation. So like, if 2 people or 3 people are fighting each other and there's a knife involved and I don't have a knife, now in order for me to be heroic and to stop it, I have to like really put myself in danger. Okay, now if I have a weapon on me, like maybe I can stand back and then take some more action. However, it's like the same thing. It's these moments. And it's so funny because, and I'll tell the story because LeBron James tweeted out like, this officer is up next for accountability, in reference to like the Chauvin guy who just got charged and convicted for the murder of George Floyd. And so now he's saying like, this guy, and folks took it as like LeBron actually is saying like he's sending people at him, like made him a target, like you're up next to die, type of thing. And it didn't seem like to me that was the intention, but that's how the media and all of that stuff spent it, right? Even spinning it into the senses of like, yo, LeBron, in the heat of the moment, sends this inflammatory tweet out, and now all of this bad stuff is in kind of place to happen. And so, well, I don't think that that's what he was intending on doing, but it still goes to the same thing. It's the same moments. It's this, right? Imagine being that officer and being at home, and then the biggest athlete in the world, now has you on his Twitter calling for your accountability, calling for you to receive accountability in whatever way. Like, that's a crazy moment to be in for anybody, in that person's family, in that person's whatever, right? It's the same thing as, like, I was listening to people on Twitter talk about how much this dude is a hero. He should be called a hero because he saved his girl's life. And then I'm like, yo, I just personally cannot see any situation where you might shoot a 15-year-old girl and then be considered a hero, right? Unless, you know what I'm saying? Then it's just hard to fathom that situation, you know what I'm saying? Where, yeah, I get it was a hostile situation and all of that stuff, but I just would never want to, you would not be able to give me no award, you'd not be able to give me no nothing for that. I just want to forget about it. I hate that I had to go there. And then even when I watched that video, I seen like all of the people there, like grown-ups and all of this stuff. I'm looking at the officer like, bro, what did you just do? Like, how, what made you do that? He's like, what she had a knife? She was a kid. I don't know. It just was a tough video to watch, and I semi-regret watching it, but I think that it also like put something on me that I felt like I needed to go down this tangent and talk to you all about this. And it's funny to say talk to you all, but to make this video. And really to get your thoughts. Obviously we're 26 minutes into this, probably 27. So if you're still here at this point, then like I'm sure that you have some type of thoughts on this, what I'm talking about, and I would love to hear that from you in the comment section. And like I think that because this is such a personal video, like I want to commit to, like, if you jump in there and comment on it, like then I'm going to like get in there with you and like process. And obviously that's harder said than done via the interweb or whatever, but I would love to do that. And that's what I got for y'all today, man. It's your main man, ABD Hero. I think final closing statement is, and just appreciate each moment that you get to like operate and work and walk on this earth. One of the things that I always say is that life on earth is like the most precious thing ever, but it's also like the most insignificant thing ever, right? It's so precious that like in the grand scheme of how big everything is, like you just a speck of dust in this cosmic universe, right? But like it is so rare to have that speck of dust that has the functioning capabilities that you have, that like being able to just live for 10 seconds is one of the most precious, craziest things that can happen, right? And so you have to like really appreciate that, right? But you also have to understand that like your whole person is so insignificant. If you look at the earth, it's supposed to have been around here for 30 billion years. Civilization as we know it is 5, 6, 7, 8,000 years old maybe. And so like in that, even in the grand scheme of that, like in 2,000-3,000 years, 99.99% of us will not be remembered or will have any like significance to what's happening here, right? Most of us won't make it to a museum. Most of us won't make it to the Hall of Fame. Most of us won't. And even if we do, the likelihood that whatever structures that we have in place still stand 4,000 years from now is kind of like, is whatever anyway, right? If you think about 4,000 years from this point here, the world looks completely different. 4,000 years from right now, it'll be completely different again. And so I say that's what I want you to take from this, man. Understand that you are a very insignificant but highly special being that like really should live this life with as much intentionality as possible. Experience is the blessing, is the mother of all, man. So go out and experience life, man, and really understand and appreciate every moment that you get to live. It's your main man, ABD Hero. We out.
No, not peace. +1, triple B's. We out.